Well, once again, welcome to another live here this morning, and hope you're having a wonderful start to your day. And we'll wait for a few moments, as per usual, to see a few people coming on. Rosemary, you're number one today. Rosalinda, John, good morning. Happy birthday. John, it's your birthday today? Happy birthday. Evangeline, Brenda, Rosa, Adeline, good morning. Fran, Madeleine, good morning to you. Nellie, and Marjorie, thank you for watching. Nativity, Rosemary, from California. Thanks, Rosemary, for tuning in bright and early this morning. David, Louise, Jerry, Lori, another one from California, from Ventura. Nancy, Micheline, bonjour. Susan, good morning to you. Julie, Barbara, Nova Scotia. Zian, Zian, dear friends. Nick, from our staff. Nice to listen to you, she said. You have to say that. And Wendy, good morning to you, Wendy. Chantal, Ottawa, bonjour. Michelle, and we appreciate you guys. Judy, Newfoundland. And Jane, from where? Shabash, what did you say there, Jane? Dawn from Ottawa. Donna, sorry. Janice, Alma. You gave me a name there and I couldn't see it. Carol, Edmonton, Alberta. Lennis, Kansas. Raja, Yvonne, Andrea, Newfoundland. No, Nouveau Brunswick. Excuse me, Mary Jane. And Jerry from Iroquois Falls. Okay. Northern Ontario. Maria, Debbie, Judy. We appreciate you guys. Lynn from Nova Scotia and Elaine. Okay, we're going to get going here this morning. And Babika. Thanks for watching. Carrie. Okay. I am going to talk to you this morning about your gut. Your gut. Just because I was reading a new study on glutamine. Glutamine. Okay? Now, what is glutamine? Glutamine is an amino acid. Okay? Your glutamine is the most abundant amino acid that you have. But people that got a bad gut, IBS, ulcerative colitis, Crohn's, diverticulitis, diverticulosis, inflammatory bowel disease, you know what they have in common? Very low levels of L-glutamine. L-glutamine is an amino acid. It is very important. It's used to manufacture proteins. And you need it. Your gut needs it. Now, I'm going to talk to you about several reasons that L-glutamine is important for your gut. Think of it as one thing, as a repair mechanism for your gut. Now, okay, let me just give you some, I often think of this, but how often do we see people that have bloating, belching, burping, gas, diarrhea, or constipation? It's no fun. having a bad gut, isn't it? Right? It's no fun at all. I mean, you want to take away from your quality of life? I mean, thousands and thousands of patients would come in. Their plumbing wasn't working properly. And very sensitive gut. And one of the reasons for that is their lack of glutamine, L-glutamine. And it was always part of my repair mechanism for gut. No. Now, don't come after me for this, okay? Don't come after me for this. But I just want to lay it out there a little bit, okay? Because this is me when someone had a bad gut. You know what I called it? Plant toxicity. You're eating too much fiber. Okay? Now, I know that goes against the grain. I know it goes against everything that's on the internet. I know that goes against all the gurus you might be following. I know that that just goes against almost everyone. And because we have been given misinformation, we got duped. Okay? And I often told my patients, you don't win a prize for going to the bathroom several times a day. You don't. There's no prize at the end. And I mean, not only were they low in L-glutamine, but secondly, they usually were under plant toxicity. Too much salad. And I always explain to them, like, you're not a rabbit. Okay? You're an omnivore. Don't live on plants. Wasn't meant to be. And especially if your gut is irritated. Well, first of all, they'll start irritating your gut. For a lot of people. One of the epidemics, I hate to use the word, maybe it's a little bit overblown, but one of the things that I saw more frequently than almost anything else when it came to digestive issues was a condition called diverticulosis. And it was very specific to women. Like, guys, you got to understand how I think, okay? You just have to follow me here. Try not to tune me out until I make my case, okay? Don't tune me out. A couple of conditions that are more common than they ever were. One, diverticulosis. That is little pouches, especially on the transverse part of the colon. Okay? And do you want me to show it to you? Okay, hold on now. For those who are listening on a podcast later on, I know that okay, that you're not going to be able to see this, but what I'm going to point out, and hopefully you can see this, okay? You're going to see, let me see if I can get that camera over here. You see these little pouches in the transverse colon here? They're the brown spots here, the little pouches in your bowel. That is called diverticulosis. Now, when they get infected, which I saw many a time, when that bowel really gets irritated, it goes from diverticulosis to diverticulitis. And literally, can I say 1,000 women? I used to tell them, stop eating fiber. Fiber will it causes the diverticulosis. You scrape the gut. Because rabbits don't have, okay, let me go back. Cows have 4 stomachs. There's a reason for that, because they eat the grass. And when they eat grass, they mulch it all day long. It comes back up, they do it again. Okay? That makes for great steaks, okay? But not for you. Salad is glorified grass. That's what it is. And, I know it's popular. It's fat-free. You know how many times I heard that? It's good for my cholesterol. You know how many times I heard that? I said, it's killing your gut. Stop. Give your gut a break. Now, the second thing, okay? And I've talked to you about this in the past, but like I said, I'm a simple guy. If we're seeing all, compared to before, I've talked to GI specialists. Okay? GI specialists. And they said, they called it an epidemic. And they never were thinking why, but they're always busy. So many people have trouble with their gut. Well, one of them is the amount of fiber people eat. Stop. You don't need much fiber. I mean it. Okay? Brought to you by the cereal companies. But the second condition that has a lot to do with your digestive tract. Ladies, why does it happen to you? Why does diverticulosis about 90% women? Why is number 2? Why is gallbladder 90% women? I'm waiting. Why? Salad. God gave you a gallbladder. You need to use it. It's a little reservoir for bile, and bile is used when you eat fat. Don't go fat-free. That's the craziest thing in the world. You need you not only need a gallbladder, you need to use it. Use it or lose it. And it's amazing how many women, especially, again, okay, because guys can get gallbladder problems, okay? But they get gallbladder problems when they eat fat-free. Inuit, they never get a gallbladder problem, ever. Why? They're always emptying. How you form little stones in that little pouch. Okay, I have a picture right here, again, on the same chart, okay? Okay, they're showing do you see the little stones in the gallbladder? There's the liver. There's your gallbladder. You need to use it. It stores bile, and it wants to be used and emptied every day. Empty it. How do you empty it? Well, have a piece of steak. Have eggs. Have meat. Have cheese. And you'll empty your gallbladder. You will not form stones. Oh, Dr. Martin, my doctor said I was eating too much fat. No, you weren't eating enough fat. It's the exact opposite. And when you don't have enough bile going into your gut, bile is used. Really important. Not only to emulsify fat, for fat-soluble vitamins and that. It's really important, and that's why I used to scream blue murder at the fat-free craze. Everything's fat. Oh, Doc, it's fat-free. Oh, that's stupid. That's what the problem in milk is. Milk's fat-free today. They take the fat out of it. How stupid is that? You're denaturing it. So when there's nothing, guys, listen to me. There's nothing that will irritate your gut more than fiber and carbohydrates, sugars. Could they feed the bad guys? Now, what does L-glutamine do? L-glutamine is a repair of the gut. This is one of the reasons I love bone broth. Bone broth protein, collagen protein, is loaded with L-glutamine. And the study that came out that I wanted to bring to you, okay, let me just read it here a little bit. The benefits of L-glutamine. It decreases dysbiosis in the gut. Okay? Does 5 things. In this study, it showed 5 benefits of L-glutamine for the gut. 1, it decreases dysbiosis. You know what that is. Dysbiosis, okay? Again, I like using illustrations so that I understand it and you understand it. Okay? Remember the war that goes on inside your body, especially in your gut. When you get on a scale, take 3 pounds off. You have my permission. Okay? So you go on the scale and I weigh 127 pounds. No, you weigh 124. Why is that? Take 3 pounds off. Tony Jr. would allow you to take 5 pounds off. Him and I argue about that. How many pounds of bacteria you have? Well, everybody has 5 pounds or 3 to 5 pounds of bacteria. Take 3 pounds. I'm not giving you more than that. Take it right off the scale and go subtract. But the war that goes on in your gut, again, guys, good bacteria, bad bacteria, 2 armies watching each other all day long. I remember when I went to Korea, I was fascinated to go to what they call the demilitarized zone. I went there and I watched. I was fascinated. There was nothing happening, but I was fascinated by the fact that I could go there, a little Canadian guy from Northern Ontario, and watch 2 armies separated by a fence, watch 2 armies stare each other down. The South Koreans, that's where I was, on the south side of Korea. and the North Koreans. And it's interesting. You can look at it. And they, for years, since the 1950s, they've been staring each other down. But that's what happens inside your gut, guys. You got a good army, South Korea. Bad army, North Korea. And they watch. But with antibiotics, anti-inflammatories, feeding the wrong army, sugar. Pesticides and herbicides and all these things that get in and they disrupt they kill your good side. What happens? You got what medicine calls dysbiosis. It's the invasion of the Third Army. Yeast, fungus, candida, call it what you want. It invades your body. You always have a little bit around, but they can't grow unless you don't have enough good bacteria. Got the picture? So, it's really important, guys. And what L-glutamine does, it helps repair the gut, and it helps your good army. That's why I love bone broth. It's the best form of L-glutamine. Now, number 2, it helps realign the gut. So you're getting repair. Because what happens, okay, what leaky gut is, okay, I talked to you about the invasion of the yeast. But you have a lining. It is so microscopic, guys. I mean, we didn't even know this in the 70s when I was in school. We didn't know any of it. Like, we had a guess, but we were guessing. We didn't know, but today we know. There's a little lining there. A special form of cells that keep bad guys, along with good bacteria, keep the bad guys out of your bloodstream. Because what leaky gut is when the bad, like that yeast, or bacteria, or viruses, or undigested food, and poop. Poop belongs in your toilet, not in your bloodstream. Yeast, you can have a little bit in your gut, but don't let it get into your bloodstream. It'll go everywhere. It spreads. It's a bad weed. Goes everywhere, from your brain to your sinuses, to your skin, to your lungs. It loves moisture. It's the cousin of mold. And it gets in when that little lining that protects that is the barrier between your gut and your blood, is compromised. Can I use another illustration? Well, the Canadian border, the U.S. has 2 borders. Okay? To my American friends, you're well aware of that. You have the border between Canada and you guys, but you also have a Mexican border. Right? Now, the Canadian border has got lots of border guards. It does. But the American southern border to Mexico is pretty wide open. That's leaky gut. That's leaky gut. And then you get, because right now, with the COVID and that, the travel restrictions, Canadians, they can get across if they fly across, but we can't drive across the U.S. border yet. They shouldn't be so scared of us, I didn't think. Us snowbirds and that. We're pretty friendly people. But you know what's happening in the world. But all I'm saying is that's like an illustration of leaky gut. The southern border. So, L-glutamine helps with that. It helps repair that little lining. It helps with dysbiosis. And it helps reduce inflammation in the gut, the IBS, inflammatory bowel syndrome. Very good for that. It heals. It patches. It heals. It fights yeast. Okay? And here's one that when you reduce the inflammation in your gut, it's interesting, isn't it? That it actually helps with muscle soreness in that. There's a connection there. Glutamine is a real anti-inflammatory. So it helps with, this study was saying, muscle soreness. Here's another one that was interesting as part of the study. It said that glutamine is very, very good for those people who are taking chemo and radiation. It really helps to protect the gut during that time. Because you can imagine chemo and radiation would just strip away all your good bacteria. And this is why I always have people on probiotics. And if they're taking chemo or radiation, it's funny because sometimes doctors, of course, they don't know anything about probiotics really. Like very few of them do. It's funny, the GI people know about probiotics. But the radiologist and the oncologist and that, you better stop that stuff because we don't know, they don't say we don't know what it does. They just say, yeah, we don't want that. Why? You need that. If you're taking chemo or radiation, for heaven's sakes, you really need it. And this is why I like Dr. Martin's Perfect Smoothie as a repair mechanism and a nutrition. For people like they're getting chemo and they got hardly an appetite, he said, well, make yourself a Dr. Martin's Perfect Smoothie with bone broth. Give your kids Dr. Martin's Perfect Smoothie. It is so good for them. They'll think they're at McDonald's getting a milkshake. You're better off sending them to school with that in their body than sending them with cereal. Because Frosted Flakes ain't great. You'd be shocked how many people would tell me, Doc, if I don't have my all brand, okay? It's an interesting study, isn't it? On L-glutamine and your gut. You need to do a plant detox. Because and this is why the reset, guys, is so good. And, I think there was someone on the on the private Facebook group the other day and just saying, well, I found it hard. I was nauseous and that the first week. Yeah, well, you're detoxing, man. You change fuels and your body, it's going to appreciate it, but it's going through a little bit of a withdrawal from your toxic carbs and plants. I don't mean to. Plants are good for you, okay? Although 98% of all plants are inedible. But no, they're all right. Look, I'm being facetious to some extent, but not if you have digestive issues. You got to be, look, if you have steak and salad, okay, can't have that on the reset, but if you have a steak and salad, you're going to get Dr. Martin's approval, okay? If you insist, okay? Eggs, meat. And by the way, where is L-glutamine found in food? In plants? Yeah, enough for a mouse. It's in eggs, meat, and cheese. That's why it's so abundant in bone broth. Okay. Thanks, guys, for paying attention. Okay? And like for me, when I teach, I got to make it simple because it's just me, guys. I'm trying to make you understand how your body works. So, sometimes it's a little simplistic, but I'm trying to use illustrations that work for me. I'm very visual. I'm very visual. And when I was learning, I'd often, and I can't draw, I flunked art, but I would draw things in my mind. Borders and, like for me, that's how my mind thinks. I need illustrations, okay? To make stuff simple for me. I need to break it down so I can chew on it and then teach it after. Okay, so sometimes I'm a little simplistic and, but I'm not aiming at doctors, although they could learn. I'm aiming for a lay audience. Okay? Now, Friday, question and answer. We've got questions coming in already, and don't be shy. Send in your questions for Friday. Okay? We appreciate that, and we try and answer all of them as much as we can, unless I get off on rabbit trails. Speaking of rabbits, I get on rabbit trails, and the book, The Reset, okay, makes a great Christmas gift. Gifts. And thirdly, the Martin Clinic Facebook group. Again, we love you guys. Thank you for coming in on that. You can invite your friends and family. And if they cannot watch this live, they can certainly listen, download podcasts. The Doctor is in podcast, and the Doctor is in newsletters. Okay? The Doctor is in newsletters. Wonderful. Teaching. Sign up. Okay. Love you guys. We'll talk to you soon.